pleasure and privilege of going around this unique institution today morning in the company of Professor Varshney, and I was truly delighted to see this great campus. I've visited most of the IITs, I've visited most of the institutes of management, and I've visited some of the finest universities of India. And I always used to think that probably the best campus is of Banaras Hindu University. But today I discovered that the IIT Kharagpur has the finest campus in India. It is the oldest and the most prestigious of all the IITs. It holds a special place in the history of India's education and innovation journey. And to my mind, since its inception in 1951, the institution has truly been a beacon of academic excellence, and it has produced some of the finest minds that are today shaping the world. The legacy of IIT Kharagpur has been one of resilience, one of innovation, and a relentless pursuit of knowledge. And I am truly honored to be present here today on the 74th Foundation Day. I am also truly honored that I was present to acknowledge the significant and the phenomenal contribution of Dr. Somnath and Dr. Kamath to the nation building process of India. And they as engineers possess the unique ability to build technology for greater good. They have really shaped India, and in many ways they are shaping the world. And ladies and gentlemen, we are at a unique point of time where India is the 5th largest economy in the world. Last year we grew at 8.4%. We were the fastest growing large economy in the world. And in the next 3 years we'll be the 3rd largest economy, overtaking Japan and Germany. And this has been possible because India in the last few years has moved from being in the world's fragile 5 to the fastest growing country in the world. It's a testament to the hard work, dedication, and the brilliance of many of our engineers, many of our scientists. It's a testament to the academia, industry, and entrepreneurship of India. Ladies and gentlemen, in the last decade, India has carried out very major structural reforms, from ease of doing business to goods and services tax, which is cashless and paperless. It's like putting one tax across Europe, to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, to the Real Estate Regulation Act. And all these are major structural reforms which will transform India in the many years to come in future. But I think the biggest transformation that India has seen is in building up digital India, in creating digital identity for 1.4 billion Indians, for ensuring that between 2015 and 2017 we opened up 550 million bank accounts linking of them with Aadhaar and with the bank accounts, which has today enabled us to do 46% of the real-time fast payments in the world. China is next with just 22% of the fast payments. But then, this has led this unique digital public infrastructure, which is open source, open API, globally interoperable, enabled many of our startups. If you look at MobiKwik, PineLab, all of them use the fast payment to then provide credit to people living below the poverty line. And these are all young startups. And then you have a series of young startups like Zerodha, Grow Upstock, who took wealth creation. They took the stock market to tier 2, tier 3 cities and to the rural areas of India. And today they control almost 30% of the stock market. And then you had another set of young startups like GoDigit and Acco who took insurance to the tier 2, tier 3 cities. When I was a young officer, it used to take us 6 months to take a life insurance policy from Life Insurance Corporation of India. Today, from fast payment to stock market to insurance to credit, all this is possible in India within 30 seconds to 1 minute. And that has been the biggest transformation. The western part of the world has seen technological advancement because of big tech, because of Google, Apple, Amazon, Meta. And in China, this has happened because of Tencent and Alibaba. But they took the citizens' data and used machine learning on that and became enriched because of citizens' data. India adopted a very different course of ensuring that the data belonged to the citizens. It created a public interest layer on top of which the private sector has innovated. And we created a completely open source and open API model which was accepted during G20 as the model for the world and the model of the future. And every country accepted that if you have to transform lives of citizens, if you have to ensure that sustainable development goals reach the poor, the answer lies in digital public infrastructure. So that is the innovation which India has done. The third key point I want to make is that in the last decade, India has done huge amount of infrastructure. And all this has been possible because we've used technology to leapfrog. We've built 40 million houses in India. 40 million houses is like making a complete Australia in India. We are making another 30 million houses in the next few years. We provided 130 million toilets to our citizens of India, which is like providing a toilet to every citizen of Germany. That was the size and scale of what India has done. We provided pipe water connection to 253 million Indians, which is like providing a water connection to every single individual living in Brazil. That's the size and scale. But we've also built 88,000 kilometers of road. That's 5 times the diameter of Earth. That's the size and scale of what India has done. When we started the Startup India movement in 2016, there were just 356 startups. Today we have 140,000 startups. We have over 140 unicorns. So ladies and gentlemen, what India has demonstrated is that innovation is crucial, it is critical for India's growth and development. Innovation drives economic progress by both improving productivity and fostering competitiveness. But ladies and gentlemen, what it has, when you do innovation with the size and scale of India, you do frugal engineering, you bring in resource efficiency, and you are able to provide solutions not merely to the 1.4 billion people of India, but you provide a solution for the next 4 billion people of the world who move from poverty to middle class. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it's important that in the years to come, India becomes a global leader, not merely in IT services, and which we have done, but we become a global leader as we are doing in establishing over 600 global capability centers in India. But we become a leading manufacturing nation. The challenge is that as we move forward, climate action will be the biggest challenge for us. If the world is not able to achieve 1.5 degrees centigrade by 2050, we will be facing very severe repercussion in terms of coastal cities getting submerged and all of us facing severe heat and the lives of the poorest people of India getting impacted. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, India will have to be the first country in the world to industrialize and urbanize through a process of decarbonization. When the West was growing, they consumed up all the carbon space in the world. They've already consumed almost 88% of the greenhouse gas emission. We are responsible for only 1.3% of the greenhouse gas emission, whereas on a per capita income basis, we should be entitled to 17.5%. But irrespective of that, India has taken up the responsibility of being a leader for climate action. We have already built up 200 gigawatt of renewable energy. We are the only G20 country to beat the target which was set up at COP21. We did procurement of 367 million LED bulbs and brought down the price of LEDs to almost 110. And that you can do because you have the size and scale. We procured 5,600 buses and demonstrated for 7 cities of India and demonstrated that the price of electric manufactured buses can be 12% cheaper than fossil fuel buses. And now we are procuring 10,000 buses for other cities of India. So our challenge is that we will be doing 50,000 bus procurement in the next 2 to 3 years, electric buses. And therefore making India the center for EV bus manufacturing in India. Ladies and gentlemen, our objective is that we should be able to use India's climatic condition, and no other country in the world has a climatic condition which India has, to produce solar energy at the cheapest cost. Use this solar energy to crack water and produce green hydrogen and become the cheapest producer, the cheapest manufacturer of electrolyzer, the cheapest producer of green hydrogen, and bring down the price from $4.5 to $1 per kilogram by 2030 and become the biggest exporter of green hydrogen to the rest of the world. By doing this, India today imports about 165 billion worth of fossil fuel. The challenge the Prime Minister has said is that by 2047, instead of being an importer of fossil fuel, we should be an exporter of clean energy. So ladies and gentlemen, all this would require innovation of the highest order. This would require us to become a global innovation hub. This would require us to invest in applied research and market-oriented innovation. And this would require us to build up huge academia, research, industry partnerships. This will also require us to build innovation, infrastructure, and talent. And this would also require us to do prototyping and testing to transition from labs to markets. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge opportunity not merely for the academic institutions, but this is a huge opportunity for industry and for research bodies. One of the mistakes which we had made was to set up research institutes outside. In the initial years, we set up research institutes which are independent, but all research institutions in future should only be a part of academic institutions like the IIT Kharagpur. No research should be done. No research should be done. All CSIR institutions, all DSIR institutions should be linked to academic institutions. All the innovation in the world happens from academic institutions because professors and students work together. That's how Silicon Valley was created. And that is what is critical. And therefore industry will fall back on your academic institutions to work on applied research with professors and students. And to my mind, this industry-oriented skills has to come from institutions like IIT Kharagpur, and further innovation and research must all come from IIT. There are just two other critical points I want to make, and that is about creating high-quality patents which can lead to huge competitive advantages for India and make India a market leader. Because patents must lead to commercially viable innovation. We've enhanced both the patents in India and we've enhanced the quality and the quantity and the speed of India, of patents in India. But the challenge is that the patents are not leading to commercial innovation. All patents must lead to commercial innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, we've also enhanced the scientific and engineering publication. India is today the third largest contributor behind China and USA. 149,000 articles in 2020. But these articles are not finding citations, which is very important. So there is a need to focus on quality rather than just quantity, and this should lead to higher, much greater impact on the academic and research work being done across the world. In 2024, the intellectual property payments, the IPR payments which India made to foreign companies and to outside institutions was 14.3 billion. Our IPR receipts were only 1.5 billion. Imagine it. Our IPR payments were 14.3 billion, our IPR receipts were 1.5 billion only. India is paying much more in IPP royalties than what it is getting in return. And that is when we have created so many academic institutions, research institutions. And therefore it is a challenge for all of us. It is a challenge for each one of us to ensure that our IPRs are actually converted into commercial innovation and our technologies should be exported to across the world rather than importing technology. The only other point I want to make is that we have 24,000 PhD graduates in India. The United States produces 68,000 doctoral graduates. The latest economic survey has said that only 51.25% of India's graduates are deemed employable. There is a high challenge, therefore, that whoever we produce from our academic institution must not only be employable but should be highly innovative, should be actually be an innovator and should actually disrupt society in a manner which the world has not seen before. So I would like IITs to produce many more disruptionists, many more PhDs who will go on to do commercial innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, innovation, to my mind, is key to India's growth. It is much like what ISRO has demonstrated by landing on the moon, much like what DRDO is doing. We need to create many more institutions like ISRO and many more institutions like DRDO, which will ensure that our defense imports are brought to zero and we become the world's leading exporter, and that we explore the final frontier of space in a manner where all our startups, and the Prime Minister is personally convinced that the future is space, and that's why this budget focused on a venture fund a fund of funds for space entrepreneurs. Ladies and gentlemen, therefore, the government has taken several initiatives. It has pushed for innovation, a new mission on artificial intelligence. It has pushed for a new mission on quantum computing. It has pushed for a 76,000 crore scheme on semiconductors. It has pushed for a 25,000 crore scheme on green hydrogen. It has pushed for 1.93 lakh crores on production-linked incentive for manufacturing in India, so that Make in India and Startup India receive huge impetus. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing a thrust on cutting-edge technology, we are seeing a thrust on manufacturing, we are seeing a thrust on startups which the world has never seen before. And in a very short time, we become the third best startup ecosystem in the world. So ladies and gentlemen, for India to become a $5 trillion economy in the next 3 to 4 years, or to become a $30 trillion economy, the challenge for India is to raise its per capita income. You can be the third largest economy, but if your per capita income is $2,500, your people will still be poor. The challenge is to take it to $18,000 by 2047. The per capita income in India must rise, and that would mean that we have to improve our learning outcomes, our health outcomes. We have to improve agriculture productivity. We have to do urbanization in a sustainable manner, and we have to shift a vast segment of our population from agriculture to manufacturing. No country in the world has grown with 45% of its population in agriculture. And all this would require technology and innovation, which can only come from institutions like IIT Kharagpur. I'm saying this because IIT Kharagpur was the founder of all IITs. It has been the father figure of all IITs. It has inspired not nearly 1 million engineers in India, but it has inspired all other IITs and motivated them to become centers of excellence. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the future of India is truly in the hands of institutions like IIT Kharagpur. Its energy, its vitality, its dynamism will shape India in the years to come. And to my mind, when India becomes a $30 trillion economy, 18,000 per capita income in 2047, we would have reshaped the life of every single Indian, and IIT Kharagpur would have played a very significant and major role in that drive for growth and prosperity. Thank you very much, ladies.